So, welcome, everybody. Elaine, please begin.
Thank you. Yes, welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining me this evening. As I mentioned last week, it's really a great pleasure for me to have the opportunity to teach because it gives me a really good reason to study, a really good reason to make sure how it is that I can explain as much as possible. And so I'm grateful. I'm grateful to you for inviting me to come. Thank you, Sheila and Shanti Davis Center. So let's begin.
Thank you.
Yes, let's begin by rejoicing. Okay, just rejoicing in the very fact that we have taken an interest in meditation and exploration of the mind. The point of which is completely, irreversibly to remove all mental afflictions and allow the pure mind to achieve enlightenment. This is the point. So may we perhaps consider as our ultimate intention for our time together this evening to build a better world through human understanding and love, and thereby reducing the pain and suffering of every being. As His Holiness often says, I pray for this, to build a better world, to bring less suffering to all beings. So let that percolate for a moment, thinking how wonderful it would be to live in a world where everyone we met would inspire us with their generosity and love. How wonderful. And if we remember William James's comment, that to which we attend in the moment becomes our reality, then we create the intention to create a world filled with love. And let that become our reality. We all know very well that the path of greed and hatred does not at all lead us toward happiness. On the contrary, it is samsara, the cyclic path of dissatisfaction and misery. I chuckled when I read Geshe Lodin's description of samsara. He said, it doesn't matter whether you live in a peaceful forest setting or a high-rise apartment in a busy city, as long as you are under the control of karma and delusion, your address is samsara. Thinking about that, what does that mean to be under the control of karma and delusion? Unless we are able to have a look at where our world comes from by looking into our mind, then it continues to cycle. We will continue to cycle. I was thinking about mentioning last week that Buddhas are born from bodhisattvas, and that bodhisattvas hold in their mind a wish to become a Buddha, to reduce the pain and suffering of all sentient beings. So this attitude comes from seeing how it is that beings suffer. And there's this universal responsibility that arises, this attitude of, I really have to do something about it. I must. But I recognize that right now there's only so much I can do. I really have to become a Buddha in order to be of the greatest benefit. I can do small things, yes, but I must do something to relieve the suffering of the world. I must become a Buddha. And this comes from an attitude of compassion, a wish for beings not to suffer, and an attitude of love, which comes from wishing beings to be happy. And all of that comes from basic kindness, doesn't it? Basic kindness. As His Holiness says, from basic human kindness, a wish not to do any harm. He says, if you can't help, at least don't do any harm. So good deeds come from not doing harm. They come from a wish not to harm. And I think we should never underestimate the power of a good deed, no matter how small. Rejoicing in the good deeds of ourselves and others is a really good practice. From a scientific point of view, it either deepens the neural pathway, which creates the cause to engage in it again, or it creates a new one, and again, creates the cause to do it again. When we rejoice in it, we feel good about what we did. In either case, it plants seeds to do it again. Each good deed begets another good deed, and so on. This ripple effect happens out in the world as well. So kind acts, they warm our hearts, right? And bring a smile. Very worthwhile to pause and notice the good deeds we do. Last week, I was talking about the power in the pause. And Sheila asked, what's the pause? What is it? It's the stopping, right? It's the pause to recognize, in this case, the good deeds that we do. It's the pause to mitigate the difficult ones that we're about to engage in, even the small ones. Lama Tsongkhapa says in his Source of All My Good, says, bless me to stop even the smallest wrongs of the many that I do, and to try to carry out instead each and every good of the many that I may. Yeah. In the prostrations to the 35 Confession Buddha's practice, it shines a light on meritorious actions and mentions even by giving one mouthful of food to a being born in the animal realm. It seems like a small, maybe insignificant thing to do. But for instance, when we feed our pets, there is a beautiful opportunity to practice, to rejoice in taking care, in offering one small mouthful of food to a being born in the animal realm. So I think pausing to recognize our small good deeds, then we accentuate more the positive and eliminate the negatives. I think we really do many such small actions during our day, small kind things, but we don't recognize them. I wonder, do we pause and acknowledge them so that they produce a feeling of kindness? Oh, I'm glad that I offered that glass of water. Maybe there's an automatic idea to make an offering to someone or to hold a door open. We do it, but do we pause and allow it to really sink into our heart and recognize to do more as much as possible? To have our antenna up, looking for ways to actually benefit. So we train our mind. This is a mind training to pay attention, to recognize when we engage in positive actions. And Buddha said, train your own mind. Explore, examine, analyze, investigate how the mind fabricates its experience of the world until we have no doubt in our heart. So in doing so, we develop qualities of peacefulness, clarity, understanding our own lives and learning how to live harmoniously in the world. We develop harmony with life. A meditation practice is training our mind. And its foundation is its posture and its focus. We train to cultivate a balance between two particular elements: the element of energy and alertness, balanced with the element of relaxation, calmness, and peacefulness. We train to find the quality of mind and body in which the elements of relaxation and energy are both maximized and in balance with each other. When we learn to calm the mind and look deeply into its nature, it becomes more and more alert and more peaceful. The more and more clearly we see the way things are, the more we recognize that the fundamental nature of mind is intrinsically both completely awake and completely peaceful simultaneously. So we take this as our working hypothesis and we test it. Buddha said, "Don't believe this because I said so." He said, "This is how it appears to me. Please test it for yourself." To test this hypothesis about meditation, we start out in a slightly forced or contrived way to achieve balance of body and mind. We try to be concentrated and peaceful. It seems a bit like an oxymoron, right? Trying to be peaceful. But it's important to understand that this isn't an unnatural state. This is bringing our body and mind into alignment with their fundamental nature, existent within us, not because we're going to become something we're not. Meditation is not about trying to create something special, to get to some special state. It's more about uncovering what's always been and is always here. It's like peeling the layers of an onion. By looking and seeing over and over and over again, we find the qualities of peace and clarity within the heart that underlie everything, that are always present. By seeing this over and over again, faith in that reality arises on its own. And you remember, Buddha nature is existent within us right now. Sometimes it doesn't feel like it. When we pay attention to the moment, relax and see clearly, there is a peacefulness, a purity, a wakefulness, and a kind of bright quality to the heart. And over time, our own experience slowly seeps through. And finally, we begin to see and trust that underneath all the ruminating over the past and all the planning for the future and all the reworking of those plans and the fantasizing, underneath all of this is a pure, radiant, peaceful quality. Last week, I mentioned the physical posture as a critical foundation for meditation. And now I want to mention the mental posture. So in addition to our physical posture, as we begin when we're meditating, it's useful to establish a conducive or beneficial mental attitude, or we might say mental posture. It's possible that we're inclined to believe that it should be easy to slow the mind down. Should be easy. But as we meditate, the mind is chattering away, proliferating thoughts about this or that, planning for the future, forming opinions, judging, criticizing, commenting on everything. So unconsciously, we may develop a combative attitude, trying to make the mind be quiet. So we squeeze, we apply force, and then meditation becomes stressful. No fun at all. So while we use persistence and strength, it comes from a place of basic affection, of love, and cooperation. This is the mental posture. There's persistence and there's strength with love and cooperation. So as we try to calm the mind, it's so important that we bring the mind to the present and work with the body and mind in a collaborative way. So important not to set up the mind as something we have to force into obedience. It's like working with a child, training young children or training pets, guiding and training them with love. Again, we use persistence and strength, but it's coming from a place of affection, love, and cooperation. We offer a quality of kindness, not force. Using forceful or aggressive means only produces pain and stressful outcomes. The mind is our friend, not an opponent that needs to be beaten into submission. So I was thinking this morning about that very thing because I was doing a practice. I was doing a sadhana, and my mind kept going to the teaching tonight. My mind would go to, where's my mind? And at one point in time, I was over here, somewhere over here. So I came back and I laughed, because I realized that just to come back, there's success right there. Just come back to what your object of focus is. And it doesn't create an attitude of force or humiliation or criticism or judgment. The point is to create a happy mind. So coming back with kindness, oh yeah, this is what I'm doing now. Coming back, it creates a habit to come back, for one thing, but it also reminds us of kindness and love and affection for oneself, never beating oneself up for not doing the job the way we think we might. It's just so important to always cultivate kindness toward this mind, working with it rather than against it. Mingyur Rinpoche said, at any moment, we can choose to follow the chain of thoughts and emotions that reinforce a perception of ourselves as limited, or we can remember our infinite potential. We can remember our infinite potential. When we wake up to our life, we actually can remember that the seed of awakening is existent within us right now. And it's so beautiful to bring that to mind. When we're criticizing, belittling, or judging ourselves or others. Lama Yeshe used to say, glue on the opposite by thinking, no, wait, I have existent within me right now the seed of enlightenment. How wonderful. I'll cultivate that. And not only do I have that seed, but so too does the one that I'm criticizing or judging. We all have that same potential. So this is our mental posture. It's one of loving kindness and compassion. And we apply that over and over and over again. It's the antidote to an unruly mind, a mind that has a mind of its own. So again, about the body, we're bringing the body and mind into balance. Our physical posture is important. In the basic meditation posture, we're seated in an upright position, maybe on the floor, maybe sitting cross-legged on a cushion or on a meditation bench, sitting in a chair, that's fine, or on a stool, that's fine. The main thing, as we're beginning to cultivate this meditation practice that we hope will be lasting, is, and we actually exercise these muscles in our back. So rather than leaning back against the chair, we sit upright. We try to hold the body upright with our feet flat on the floor if we're sitting in a chair. And often I find my posture collapses, right? Instead of sitting, really having the spine straight like a flower reaching to the sun, I find that I'll be more down. And so then I'll catch that and just gently, gently raise the awareness into a posture of dignity. John Kabat-Zinn calls it, establish a posture of dignity. If you say that, you can imagine what that means, a posture of dignity. And when I find myself collapsing down, I just reassert that gently and kindly. So we will, the spine is, that's our central axis. And everything else relaxes around that. So we'll practice in a few minutes, but I wanted to mention the process so that you know where we're headed. As we start meditation, we sit and bring our attention to the body. And we note any tension or heaviness. We gently adjust and move toward the qualities of uprightness and inner relaxation. We sweep the attention from the crown down through the body. And using loving attention, we guide the body toward a more refined, balanced quality of an upright position in harmony with energy and relaxation. So we've got both. We've got the energy and the determination and the relaxation as well. The main point of the meditation is training our attention to focus on the present moment. So it's easy to miss the fact that reality only happens in the here and now, in the present. So once again, we use the most common focal object, easily accessible, the simple rhythm of the breath, using it to help bring attention to the present. So now the rhythm of the breath requires a meditator to rouse the heart, to attend to it, because it's not very gripping, right? So we may think, oh, it's not very interesting. We may think it's boring to simply sit and attend to the rhythm of the breath. But making the effort to attend to the simple, the normal, the familiar, the peaceful serves us very well in helping to cultivate the quality of acute attention to the present moment in ordinary life. So when we train to attend to the peaceful, or training to attend to be peaceful, then we steer away from our habits of criticizing, of judging, of being irritated, being anxious or depressed, being fearful or overly excited. We recognize that because we know what it feels like to be present and peaceful. And we recognize the difference between this one and this one. We see the difference. And my bet is that it's more pleasant to be this one than to be this one. So by focusing on the breath, using that simple natural feeling, it's our anchor, our focal point. So we may discover that blend of ever-present simplicity and peacefulness that permeates the mind. In the beginning, we have to pick up our attention over and over again. We pick it up and consciously place it. We pick it up and we place it. I'm sure you know the mind can be very agitated, right? But it can also be quite peaceful. So it can calm down quite quickly, or it can resist calming down. If we have been engaged in a very busy day, or we've had a very difficult moment before we decide we're going to sit down, or we've had an argument or something has happened in our life, maybe it's just placing the mind again and again and taking a breath and working with relaxation in the body. That's okay too. That's okay too. So we can't control these things. But as a general rule, the more we train our attention to settle with the breath, the easier it becomes to do. Making the effort with constant repetition leads to the practice slowly sinking in, and we begin to train the heart to be more clearly attentive to the natural flow of the breath. And then after practicing for some time, the attention can stay with the breath without wandering off into thought or distraction too much. We're able to stay focused, just resting peacefully on the breath. And when attention moves off the breath or is drawn into a noise or something irritating, instead of becoming frustrated or following the feeling of irritation, we simply recognize that the attention has wandered off and then rejoice. Rejoice that we recognize that. Oh. Then with patience and gentleness, we let go of whatever has grabbed the mind, like the plan for next week or the holiday we're about to go on, or an argument. We recognize the distraction and return to the sensation of the breath again. When we realize we've lost the connection to the breath, there's forgiveness and a readiness to begin again. No matter how many times we drift, the present moment never gives up on us. It's always here. Remember, the present moment is our faithful friend. And each time we drift, we wake up, we remember, and we return to the present. So, let's meditate. So I do want to say that whatever suggestions I make are invitations rather than mandates. So please follow your heart and disengage or pause or change for your own comfort. Okay? So not to be stressed in any way. That's important. So we begin first finding our good seat. And it's excellent to restate our intention, perhaps saying, after well establishing my posture, I'm going to focus my attention on my breath for 10 minutes, that I might bring peaceful harmony to myself and all other living beings. Ultimately, I wish to realize my full human potential, perfect enlightenment, in order to be of the greatest benefit to all beings. So please find a good seat and sit well. Sit fully. And turn your attention in, allowing your spine to lengthen and straighten. I invite you to bring your awareness to your crown as we begin to bring relaxation to the whole body. Wherever you find tension or tightness, consciously allow those muscles to relax with the flow of gentle, warm, attentive energy. Begin by feeling your brow and around your eyes, your mouth, your jaw. Consciously let everything soften. Let tightness dissolve. Feel a wave of gentle relaxation in your face. A gentle warmth flowing down into your neck, across your shoulders, Consciously let them drop a little. Let them be free from any tightness. Allow a softening, a loosening. Following a deep in-breath, let it all go on the exhale. And notice how that feels as the muscles relax. How is the mood affected? Follow the flow down your arms, all the way to your fingertips. Let tension dissolve. Give yourself permission to be at ease, not having to sustain any kind of activity. Coming to the trunk of the body, feel the sensations of the chest. Allow it to open a little more. Shoulders drawn back just a little. Allowing the breath to flow a little more easily. Follow the warm, gentle flow down into the solar plexus, the belly. Anxiety can live there like a tangle of tension. Let the belly loosen and spread. Nothing to hold in, nothing to tighten. Consciously notice any change, any effect on the mood. Flowing down into the pelvis through the hip joints, noticing any tightness or rigidity. Let the body loosen and soften. Let the legs drop slightly. Feel a wave of relaxation flowing down through the legs, the thighs, around the knees. Down to the tips of the toes. Let attention soak down and fill every cell. Let the whole body be perfectly at ease and settled. How wonderful. Feel the presence of the whole body, grounded, stable, as you feel the places where your body touches the mat or the seat. A sense of stability, safety. Training the mind to attend to the present. Feel the body breathing according to its own rhythm. Sometimes deep, sometimes shallow. Have no preference. Simply noticing. The body breathes without doing anything. The belly rises and falls. The chest gently expands and contracts. Notice how the sensation at the tip of the nose changes. There is harmony between movement and stillness. And now make a resolution. I'm not interested in anything else. I will lay it all gently aside. Right now, all I'm interested in is the simple rhythm of my own breathing. Let the breath be the very center of attention, attending to the sensations in the body, the in-breath and the out-breath. As they come and go. And then, wherever you feel them most distinctly, wherever is most comfortable for you, guide your attention there, on that sensation, perhaps at the tip of the nose. Let the attention settle on that sensation. Let the rhythm guide you, gently but firmly and with ease. Each moment, just the breath. And when we recognize attention has escaped, gently, kindly, back to the feeling of the breath, again with forgiveness and readiness to begin again. And we sit in silence now for 10 minutes as the body breathes, and we attend single-pointedly. And if counting is helpful, counting a full cycle, breathing in and breathing out as one. And noting the change in sensation as the breath turns. Just the breath. And slowly begin to expand your awareness into your full body, moving your fingertips and your toes. Coming back into the room. So I wonder, what is your experience? Have you been practicing through the week? Have you had a chance to find the space in between the thoughts? I was thinking as I was sitting just now, the blessing of giving myself permission to do nothing except be right here in the moment, attending to the relaxed and peaceful ease of the breath flowing out and in, without me having to do a single thing. What is your experience? Do you get a chance to taste that space-like quality of the mind that is there behind the nattering, the little thoughts that keep coming, like a circus train? Some of them very interesting, some of them not very. It really is, it's a blessing for me to have that as a place to go. As soon as I'm feeling a sense of unease, whether it is being irritated because things aren't going the way I want them to go, it is possible to just take a breath and then go, oh, yes, this is the place, that peaceful ease, that state of empty, spacious, pure mind, luminous and clear. And all of the bits, the comings and the goings, they're just clouds. And they dissipate. They just dissipate in the sun of awareness, allowing them. I was watching this time particularly. I counted 1 to 10, I think 5 times. So I counted. And I didn't lose the count, but I could see the things, the thoughts coming. You know, they were kind of in the background. And this reminded me of Chula Das's, where he says there's the focused attention, but there is also peripheral awareness. It's always there. Peripheral awareness is there. And it's always vying for attention. You know, the loud sound, you know, the door closing, someone shouting, that is vying to take the attention away from the breath, the focus. So rather than allowing the mind to go there, giving it permission to stay. You see, you give it permission. I think Master Tilopa said, the highest king of all activity is to stay here doing nothing. So we get a chance to see what it is like when we are not engaged, when the mind is not constantly engaged, but it's giving an opportunity to rest in naked awareness with the breath as the anchor. In this case, the breath is the anchor. You know, there comes a time when you move beyond that breath. into awareness itself. But in the beginning, it's really useful to stay on the breath. And because you really know when you're off the breath. If you're on the breath is your object and you're on the breath, you know when you're not there. Whereas you can fool yourself if you're just resting in awareness. It's so vast that you may not recognize that you're not being right there in that moment, presently aware, focused there. Yeah. Shall we take a break? Does anybody have a question or a comment? You know, if you do, I'm happy. Otherwise, we'll take a little break just to get a drink of water, just 2-3 minutes, and then we'll come back and do the Shakyamuni Buddha Guru Puja. Okay? So I invite you to step away, and I'll do likewise.
I have a question about posture. I recently switched entirely to a chair because of a hip. And when you say your feet grounded, okay, you see my Treya sitting on the throne, his knees are not together. And I've had people tell me, no, you have to put your knees together, and then that becomes an object of concern. Can I put my knees the way my knees fall when I sit, which is a lot more like my Treya? So that's okay.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And also, if you're sitting in a chair, what I find, chairs are sometimes too tall. My feet need to be sometimes raised with a cushion, depending on where I'm sitting. So to have your thighs straight out, you know, not where they're down, because it's so much more comfortable in time, over a period of time, to sit for a period of time, to make sure that you've got your you have your feet firmly planted. But I have I sit cross-legged most times, but I also sometimes will take my legs down. I'll get a cramp in my leg and I'll bring my legs to the floor. But I have a one of those foam rubber zafus, you know, square or rectangular bits. And I have that on the floor because where I sit, it's too high unless I have something under my feet. And that works stunningly, you know, to be able to sit in a chair. It's just more a matter of being able to sit. If I sit with my feet on the floor, I bring my meditation cushion behind my back so that it's actually it's pushing me up. And I'm then able to sit straight up in that way. So I just now got cramps in my legs, so I put my feet on the floor. You know, we must find ways to be in comfort. You can't sit in pain and force yourself. In the beginning, when we're trying to sit cross-legged, it's okay to then sit for 5 minutes cross-legged and then, you know, to train the legs to be that way. I mean, it took me years to be able to sit cross-legged and have my knees flat down on the mat. Otherwise, you know, they're up like this, and it took a very long time for my hips to open enough to be able to have my legs flat down and to be comfortable doing that. So it's important not to hurt the body. I really feel that. I don't think it's a good idea to force the body into a position that creates pain. Because that's where the mind goes. It's going right to the pain, and it's not so useful. At least that's my experience. So does anyone else have something on posture that they want to share? Okay. Well, maybe we'll just go ahead and do our puja. This, you know, once again, when we're going to do this, I'm going to get across, sit again. Try anyway. To begin doing, if you're going to do the Shakyamuni Buddha Puja as a practice, and you've got a short period of time, have a prescription, a prescribed way of the way you get into the practice. So you find your seat, you take a good seat, you set your posture, and do a brief check-in, and allow awareness to float down through the body. It can be very quickly. Once you get used to it, you can relax your body just like that. You sit, you relax, you make sure, you just check in with the body and check in with the mind and settle the mind by turning your awareness inward, giving yourself permission to be present. And I find it's very, very useful to rejoice. Very useful to rejoice in the fact that you're taking the time to do this practice, to grow your devotion to your practice. So useful to rejoice. Just thinking like that, just put a smile on your face. Even if you're not saying any words, just smile like Thich Nhat Hanh says. I wake up in the morning and smile. 24 brand new hours are before me. I vow to live fully in each moment and to look upon all beings with eyes of love. So if we have that kind of an attitude, it sort of softens, it opens the heart and softens our awareness. So feel the presence of your whole body, grounded, stable, and at ease. And recall the sense of peaceful relaxation. And feel the body breathing according to its own rhythm. And count 10 full cycles of breath. Feeling the sensation at the tip of the nose. And now with a peaceful heart, imagine Shakyamuni Buddha has appeared before you on a beautiful jeweled throne. He is none other than the emanation of your own heart Lama. And he smiles lovingly at you. And then surround yourself by all sentient beings. Feeling the presence of your mother on your left and your father on your right. Your friends and family behind you. Think of them. your colleagues. Put the troublemakers in your life right in front of you. And then fill all of space with all of the sentient beings manifesting in human form, but having their own particular kinds of suffering. And think how I long to free you all. And then think that you are leading them in this practice. And remembering the 3 levels of refuge as we take refuge and generate bodhicitta. I go for refuge until enlightenment to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. By my virtuous actions of giving and so on, may I become a Buddha to benefit all beings. I go for refuge until enlightenment to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. By my virtuous actions of giving and so on, may I become a Buddha to benefit all beings. I go for refuge until enlightenment to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. By my virtuous actions of giving and so on, may I become a Buddha to benefit all beings. May all beings have equanimity, free of attachment and aversion. May all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all beings be free of suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings find good rebirths and the bliss of liberation. I prostrate with body, speech, and mind. I make each and every offering. I confess my mistaken karma and rejoice in every virtuous deed. Please, Buddha, stay until samsara ends. Teach Dharma to every sentient being. I dedicate to great enlightenment. And we make this request. May I be inspired by Guru devotion, uplifted by the preciousness of this human life, shed the fetters of attachment and aversion through a knowledge of impermanence, be protected by refuge, guided by a knowledge of actions and their results, aim for liberation through renunciation. May I be motivated by bodhicitta, opened by giving, disciplined by ethical behavior, strengthened by patience, enthused by joyous effort, stabilized by concentration, and freed by wisdom. And then we offer a perfect world, visualizing absolutely everything that we love, and a whole beautiful world we offer to a Lama Shakyamuni. Oh, this ground scented with perfume and covered with flowers, adorned by Mount Meru, 4 worlds, sun and moon, I imagine as a Buddha land, and then offer it. May all beings enjoy this pure land. I send this jeweled mandala to you, my precious Guru. So now think as we recite Shakyamuni Buddha's mantra, that light rays are radiating from his heart, and entering into our heart and filling us up with all the realizations on the path to enlightenment, purifying all the obstacles that get in our way, including our very own doubt, eliminating and allowing our heart to be filled. Taya tao muni muni maha munai soha. 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 And then we pray. O magnificent and precious root guru, please abide on the lotus and moon seat at my heart. Guide me with your great kindness and stay with me always until I achieve enlightenment. And so now imagine that your Lama Shakyamuni Buddha smiles at you lovingly and begins to melt into a small sphere of light and come to the crown of your head and begin to slowly descend down through the center of your body. Until this small sphere of light comes to rest at the center of your heart. It is in the aspect of great love. And as we inhale, imagine that that sphere of light becomes energized. And as we exhale, imagine it beginning to expand. This warm, gentle, loving light, energized and expanding. Until our whole body is filled with the light of love. And we know we are loved. Allow it to continue to be energized and to expand and begin to pass through all of our pores as we realize that it is our nature to love. We allow it to expand to fill the whole room. To offer the light of love to all those in our Zoom room. May each of you have happiness and all of its causes. Let it pass through the walls and fill the building. Going out into the town. Into the shops and the libraries and the hospitals. Filling the whole state. Let it fill the country. Let it go beyond the borders to wrap around the earth. To stop the wars. To relieve the suffering of natural disasters. Let it go out into the universe, allowing it to fill a multiplicity of universes. Loving awareness expanding to the infinitude of space. With a wish that every single living being have happiness and all of its causes, that they might be free from suffering and all of its causes. And then gradually, like breath on a mirror, allow this awareness to begin to contract back. And all conceptualizing contracts with it, dissolving everything in its wake. And the room dissolves into our body. And our body dissolves from above and below into this small sphere of light, penetrating it with our mind. It too becomes imperceivable, and we simply rest in clear, naked awareness, completely free, empty, spacious, and pure. Luminous and clear. Its nature, its manifestation is great compassion. Which gives rise to a sense of universal responsibility to remove the suffering from every living being, which gives rise to a bodhisattva warrior. That's me. Recognize myself as a bodhisattva. To be born a Buddha. Rest there with that intention. May it be so. And rejoice in that. For the seed of that enlightenment is within you in this very moment. We wake up to our life, a heart filled with love and compassion, and we dedicate the merits. Let's dedicate with Shantideva's prayer. I think it might be next. There it is. Let's do it. Thank you, Sheila. May all beings everywhere, plagued by sufferings of body and mind, find an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of my merit. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms, the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, there too may I remain to dispel the misery of the world. And please also dedicate to the long lives of all of our holy teachers. And that each and every one of us may actualize this path without delay of even a second. And take a moment to think of those in your life who are unwell, or those who have passed away, and specifically those who are suffering tremendously right now because of the earthquake. Unbelievable suffering. And the war. Unbelievable. Anyone who has passed away, may they have a fortunate rebirth. And those who are unwell, may they be healed. And may we actualize Master Shantideva's prayer. Thank you all very much. It warms my heart.
Thank you.
Great. If you have a question, I'm happy to answer. You can also send me an email. Tell me how it's going. Happy to see those I know, and all of you are new friends. Those are I haven't yet met. One day maybe we meet in person. Maybe we do retreat, little weekend meditation retreat. Dive in. What do you think? I think also to share, one of the things that I find very useful is to make a determination at least once a week, maybe on the weekend, at least once a week, that there will be for sure an hour of single-pointed meditation. And you can do this, I find it quite useful, to set a timer for 20 minutes and sit for 20 minutes on the breath as much as possible. And then after 20 minutes, walk for 20 minutes. Feel your feet in your body, walking, feeling the feet. Maybe 10 steps and turn around and come back for 20 minutes. You set an alarm, and then you go back and you do another 20 minutes. So you do an hour in that way, and it's not very taxing on the body because you've broken it up with walking meditation. And my experience is that it can be a very, very powerful thing to do. It also, when you do walking meditation, bringing that mind of having sat with the breath, bringing that very stable mind to walking, you begin to grow your ability to walk from your car to the grocery store, mindfully feeling the feet, mindfully being present. It's informing your daily life. So I recommend it as a really good method for growing our time to be able to sit, to be able to stay. Okay? Good. Email me if you like. Thank you for coming. And barring impermanence, I'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thanks, Elaine.
Thank you, Elaine.
Much, Elaine.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Much.
My pleasure. Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Sheila.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Thank you, Elaine.